Okay, we're live.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Malvika Rajkumar.
And I'm
And
Malvika Kumar.
yeah, today we are going to talk to you about the law on sedition. And before we get into it, we have fleshed out the entire topic in a way where you'll be able to understand the history of sedition, what happens while you're arrested for sedition, and important case laws and instances where people have been convicted of sedition and they've been acquitted. So let me start with what sedition is and the history of sedition. So I'm sure you've commonly seen on the news that people are being arrested for sedition under Section 124A of the Indian Penal Code. So some instances that happened pretty recently are a mother of a child who participated in an anti-CAA play was arrested for sedition. The school principal was also arrested for sedition for allowing such a thing. JNU students are commonly charged with sedition cases for their speeches and protests, recently in the nature of anti-CAA. And this common nature of sedition has been present since 1870. It is not a new thing. The law specifically aims to curb any sort of disaffection towards the government. So in the 19th century, the whole concept of sedition actually came into law because of the Wahhabi movement. It was a religious movement which later turned into a rebellion against the British. So in 1857, when this turned very violent, the British decided that they needed to actually bring in a law known as sedition to actually curb such instances. So in 1870, the British introduced sedition law into the Indian Penal Code 1860. Now the Indian Penal Code, which was introduced in 1860, originally in the draft had the sedition law detailed, but they decided not to go ahead with it in 1860. Later, because of such movements and uprisings and voices against the British, they decided Sir James Stephen, who was one of the law members of the government, actually brought it back into place through the Indian Penal Code Amendment Act 1870. Now, since 1870, the sedition law has been used to restrain any protests, any dissent against the government, any criticism against the government. It has been a very important law which has played a role throughout the Indian independence history, because anytime there was a situation where people were being vocal about the government, sedition law was used against them. I'll give you 3 instances of what happened during the independence movement, so you get an idea of this. There was a case filed against Jogendra Chandra Bose, who was the editor of a newspaper known as Bangu Vashi. He criticized a bill known as the Age of Consent Bill 1891, saying that it was being imposed on Indians by the British government at that time. And a sedition case was filed against him for his views on this, because he had written this in his newspaper. And this was discussed greatly and he was convicted. Similarly, a very important case that happened during the independence movement was the Bal Gangadhar Tilak case, where he had made some speeches which later instigated people to actually lead to the killing of a British commissioner and some officers. Even though this was a question of proving it in court, in the end, he was convicted with 6 years of rigorous imprisonment without transport. This became a very important case because they really went into the discussion of what sedition is, which we will come to in some time. Then there was also the Annie Besant case, which gained a lot of traction. She had a printing press called the Madras Standard, and what happened was that the Privy Council of the government at that time did not want her to actually continue with the press, so they had seized all the content of the press, because some of her articles had caused, they claimed that some of her articles had caused hatred against the government and incited violence. Now, these are some of the ways where how the government had actually used the sedition law to curb the freedom of speech and expression of persons. But at the same time, Sedition, if you read it as it is very distinct in what it means. It very clearly says that it needs to uh, excite any kind of disaffection against the government. So I'll just quickly take you through the laws which surround sedition, and not just sedition. Indian Penal Code Section 124A, which Shunotra will discuss in the next segment in detail, is the main law for sedition in India. Then you have the Criminal Procedure Code 1973, which under Section 9 allows forfeiture or confiscation of material which is seditious in nature. So if you have written a book which is actually seditious in nature, then the police actually have the power to confiscate it. Then there are powers under the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, which specifically say that under Chapter 10, that say that the police can actually use force in case they want to actually bring about peace and order, public order in a certain area. So sometimes when arrests are made because of protest, sedition is the section that's also put in the FIR. And then you also have the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which talks about what unlawful activities are and that you can get arrested for it. This specifically includes any claims, questions, or statements which disrupt the integrity of India or cause any disaffection against India. Even though the UAPA law is very different, today we will be discussing sedition law in detail. Shunotra will take you through it.
So to start off with, what is sedition? By definition, when anyone tries to bring hatred or contempt towards a government, or even excites disaffection or disloyalty towards them, they're committing an act of sedition. Now, what is important to note here is that for the charge of sedition under Section 124 of the Indian Penal Code to be levied against a person, certain elements must be fulfilled. So, 3 elements to be precise. The first one is that you must excite disaffection, disloyalty, or enmity towards the government. Then the second is that this excitement should happen either through words which you speak or write, or visual representations such as signs, slogans, videos, pictures, which we will go into much detail later on. And finally, these actions should incite people to commit violence that causes or attempts to cause public disorder. Now, this is one of the most crucial elements that has been laid down by the Supreme Court over time and again to ensure that this provision is not misused by authorities. Now, the Supreme Court also held that a citizen has a right to say or write whatever he likes about the government or its measures by way of criticism or commenting on their measures, so long as he does not incite people to commit violence against the people or commit violence, basically acts that intend to cause public disorder. See, to give you a very basic example of what would fall under this definition of sedition, say if a sarpanch of a village gives a hefty speech about wanting to secede from India and his speech causes public disorder and rioting in the village, he can be charged with sedition under Section 124A of IPC. Now, the punishment prescribed for sedition under Indian Penal Code is 3 years imprisonment, which can extend up to life, which is done in a lot of cases, along with a fine. Now, while these elements can be easily culled out of the section wordings of the Section 124, a lot of what amounts to sedition developed over the years by way of case law. Now, many have also objected through cases and through passing private member bills, objected the very presence of such a law in our legal system, but none have successfully gone through. The law still exists. Section 124A of IPC still stands as is. Malvika will take you over what courts have determined to be seditious acts, including, say, seditious literature, slogans, and even a critique of the government that may come under the ambit of this law.
Yeah. So as Shunotra mentioned, a lot of development on what sedition is has happened over time through court cases and situations. So let me take you through some concepts so that we can understand it better. When you look at what is seditious literature, courts have taken certain views. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say that you own a newspaper where you've actually written content in such a manner that it is inciting violence and disaffection towards the government, then that is definitely seditious literature. So if you author, if you distribute, or if you possess any literature which causes disaffection against the government, causes any disruption to public order, or causes any violence at the end of the day, then that is seditious literature. So there was a case that had gone to court where a person was actually arrested for sedition for circulating material, even though he didn't really author it. But the law is very clear on this, that it does not matter if you haven't authored the material itself. If you are actively circulating it or distributing it, then you can also be punished. There's another famous case called Romesh Thapar, where he had a journal called Crossroads, where he criticized the government. So in the end, there was a case that was registered against him. And finally, when it went into court, they said that authoring one journal article and criticizing the government does not mean that it is sedition. So they said that arresting people based on their criticism of the government is also a violation of the freedom of speech and expression that's guaranteed to us under the Constitution, under Article 19, and that the grounds for actually stopping such criticism can only be on the basis of 19(2) of the Constitution of India, which gives certain grounds such as, for example, public order, integrity of India, decency, etc. So then there was another case that happened in 2010. A man named Binayak Sen was accused of sedition by the Chhattisgarh government for supporting the outlawed Naxals through writing. He was held liable for it because he had also circulated and distributed such seditious literature. So the law is very clear on this point, that authorship, possession, distribution, circulation of any seditious literature is punishable, and there's a high chance you may be arrested if you have something like that. And then let's look at what critiquing the government really means. Now, in 2012, on the basis of an FIR, an arrest was made of Asim Trivedi, who's a cartoonist, a political cartoonist who had supposedly, as per the arguments of the government, disrespected India because he had drawn some cartoons insulting the national flag, parliament, constitution, etc. Shunotra will take you through the cartoon section in detail. But what the main point that came out of this was that he was critiquing the government through cartoons or whatever means. So to understand critiquing the government, the court had then issued guidelines to the police to keep in mind certain parameters before someone is arrested, because the police are the ones that arrest the people first before the case actually goes to court. So the court had given the guidelines to the police personnel saying that any words, description, anything that is written, it must actually incite violence or cause any public disorder. Unless that happens, or any apprehension of violence or public disorder. So unless that happens, it is not sedition. It is just a criticism. Then if any words, signs, etc. are used against politicians or public servants, then it is not sedition unless they show them as representatives of the government. So there is a clear linkage here that the person who's being criticized, etc., also needs to be part of the government specifically. Then any comments against the government in the form of criticism is not sedition. It is a right that we have to criticize the government. And in the end, there are multiple cases that have upheld the principle that disapproval of any administrative action by the government or any other action by the government does not amount to sedition, because it does not cause any public violence or does not incite a public disorder or incite any form of violence. Similarly, High Court of Kerala in 2016 had acquitted 5 persons convicted by the Special Court of the National Investigation Agency for organizing a meeting of the banned group known as the Students Islamic Movement in India. Even though the Special Court had convicted them, saying that they had shared seditious material, they were talking about it, they were giving speeches on it, the court in the end, the Kerala High Court in the end said that even though the content is malicious in nature, meaning there's a malice to it, the comments are not seditious because it did not affect the integrity of India. So the court acquitted them, saying that the special court charges were actually wrong here. Now, Shanotra will take you through some other instances of sedition.
So one thing that's very common that people think of is that if you're involved in a banned organization, you would be charged with sedition. Now that's not like fully true. Now it's a settled principle in India that mere association or membership to a banned organization without anything more cannot carry criminal liability. This was reaffirmed by the Supreme Court in State of Kerala versus Ranif in 2011. And this same principle also applies to sedition. Now, the Supreme Court has held that it is not an act of sedition if a person is merely a member of a banned organization. For a charge of sedition to apply in such a case, he would have to cause or incite violence that creates public disorder. As we have repeatedly told, like even Malvika mentioned and I mentioned during the elements, the third element, that causing or inciting violence is the main key to prove an act of sedition. Now, as Malvika pointed out, that she spoke about the Binayak Singh case. Binayak Singh is an activist who's also the national vice president of PUCL. Now, in his case, also the same principle was reaffirmed that mere membership cannot amount to sedition alone. Though in his case, he was convicted of the charges of Section 124A of IPC. Now, this court-established principle has been very helpful in terms of protecting people from malicious prosecutions, again, as Malvika said. Now, one very interesting thing is how cartoons can or cannot be like seditious materials. Now, Malvika mentioned the famous case of Asim Trivedi. You may remember the India Against Corruption movement from 2011, where several protests took place all over the country, voicing concerns of growing corruption in the country. Anna Hazare had also participated in it, as he sat for indefinite hunger strike as a part of the protest. Now, how Asim Trivedi participated in these protests was he published certain political cartoons. Now, one of his cartoons showed 4 lions that formed the Ashoka Chakra, replaced with 4 bulls, and where the national slogan comes, truth shall prevail, was replaced by corruption shall prevail. Now, another cartoon that he made was showing the parliament as a national toilet. Then he also sketched a woman as Mother India being assaulted by a politician and bureaucrat. He was charged with sedition for this content, and on the basis on this basis that it insulted the national emblem, the flag, the parliament, and even the constitution. However, the government soon, in a couple of months, dropped the charges of sedition, but the court held that merely cartoons, caricatures, visual representations, signs, and such can be witty, humorous, sarcastic, and even express anger. But all of this comes under the realm of your right to freedom of speech and expression that allows one to express their indignation towards the government. Now, as long as these cartoons don't incite violence or have the tendency to create any public disorder, it cannot be considered as sedition. Now, most of these interactions that we spoke of, whether it was literature, a critique of the government, a slogan, or a cartoon, these are just indicative of what could or could not be seditious acts. Though the elements that I had mentioned before are provided under Section 124A, the court examines these charges on a very case-by-case basis, and it sees, in fact, if a case of sedition is made out or not based on the facts and circumstances of it. Now, it does not only cover the elements, but also it covers the principles that have been established by several cases of the Supreme Court and different high courts in similar circumstances. One thing that you need to know is that if you've been arrested and a charge of sedition has been framed against you, you have certain rights that you need to be aware of. For instance, you have a right to call your lawyer. Now, for more details on your rights while you've been arrested, you can visit our website and check the arrest section under it. We have detailed provisions on what rights are available to you when you are arrested and what are the special provisions available to women who are arrested. But now, in the case of sedition, it's basically like the first thing you need to do is make sure that you know that you have a right to call your lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, you can always ask for a lawyer to be appointed to you from the state legal services. Now, one of the things that you need to know about sedition, that it's a non-bailable offense. It does not mean that you cannot get bail. You can apply for bail, but it won't be given to you as a matter of right. Now, this does not mean that you won't get bail altogether. This just means that the granting of bail will be dependent upon the discretion of the judge, whether he'll examine your case, and depending on the facts and circumstances, he'll decide whether to grant you a bail or no. It's not going to be given to you as a matter of right. Now, to briefly go over convictions under section 124. Now, these are actually very low. However, what is interesting to note here is that since 2017, the National Crime Record Bureau has started categorizing sedition cases under a new category called the anti-national elements. In 2018 alone, there were about 1,024 cases filed under this category. It's just very interesting to note that the number of cases that are actually filed on sedition, the charges that are framed on sedition, like in 2018 alone, there were about 70 cases that were reported. 38 went to trial, out of which only 2 were convicted. So the conviction rate actually is quite low. It's something to think about how the government is using this law to actually curb dissent and not be a law for protection of national interests. So Malvika will talk about confiscation of materials under this law.
Yeah, so when it comes to confiscation of materials, the law is pretty clear cut. If you've been arrested for sedition, then the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973 gives police the power under section 95 to actually come and confiscate or forfeit all the material which they feel is seditious in nature. So they can confiscate any newspaper, any book, any document, any piece of paper where they feel seditious literature has been written, and it will be kept with them and used as evidence finally when it actually does go to court. So keeping in mind all that we've discussed, at the end of the day, understanding sedition principles is one thing, but understanding your rights while you're being, if you have been arrested, is very important, because at the end of the day, sedition goes like any other case. You will be arrested by the police, then you will be taken to court, and then the court will hear the matter and see whether it is sedition at that point. Until then, the FIR can be registered against you using 124A of the IPC. So please go to our website to read more on both sedition laws and arrest, including all your rights that you have, how you can call your family and friends, how you can call your lawyer, how you can get a medical examination. Once you know all this, it will be easier. As Shanotra mentioned, the conviction rate for sedition is very low, even though the power of the police to actually arrest is I mean, it's pretty easy. They can, if they even feel any suspicion that you have seditious literature, they can actually come arrest you. So thank you again for joining us for this session. We hope that you got a lot of information on this topic. Please drop any comments or any questions that you have on Ask Nyaya, which is on www.nyaya.org. Apart from that, we have details on sedition, arrest, FIR, etc., which are all interlinked together and will be very useful in case you or someone you know does come across the situation. Thank you. Hope you have a good night.